Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Film School Rejects podcast. I'm your co-host Billy Howells, and joining me is.
Skye Williamson. Hi, everyone.
So today is going to be the first of a two-parter. In this episode and our next episode, we are going to be talking about Pixar leading up to the release of Elio. Um, so what we're going to do is today we're going to be talking about the first 15 years of Pixar. So basically everything up until Toy Story 3, and then next week we'll talk about everything after that. Should we go in chronological order?
Let's do it. Okay, so the first one, which I'm sure everyone remembers from their childhood, because for me it was my childhood film, and it was the one that I knew everyone watched, which is Toy Story. I love Toy Story so much. I think I also was like so passionate with my toys. Like I really you could just give me one doll, or like even I think my mom said I was like on the Eurostar once, and she just gave me like a plastic giraffe, and I've just played with it the entire time, like making up their voices. And so I think that's why everyone loves this film, is because everyone has that like kind of thing where they kind of wish their toys were real.
Yeah.
In the Toy Story way, not in a Five Nights at Freddy way. But what was your opinion of the film, Billy?
Oh, it's one of my favourite Pixar movies. It's in my top 20 favourite movies of all time. This movie just, in so many ways, is revolutionary. Of course, in its animation, it's the first ever fully CG animated film. So, of course, that did incredible stuff for the animation industry moving forward. But also just in terms of storytelling, it's just such an incredibly crafted movie. Just full of so much imagination and just really, almost broke the mold in terms of what storytelling could do, the ways you could explore storytelling, of course, through animation. Because this, if, say, Disney had made this, I don't think this could have worked in, the hand-drawn type of, the CG animation is, I would say necessary for this. I don't think any other style could have worked for Toy Story.
I think that makes sense. I think hand drawn, like it would have lost like the toyness, I think, of
Yes.
it. Which is definitely important. Not for all these movies, but definitely for the Toy Story one. It's very important for that one. And I think it was like able to connect with the audiences. In this whole day and age of live action, I really hope they never make a Toy Story live action.
I don't know how you would do a live action Toy Story.
I don't want them to do it. I don't want them to try. On this entire list, I think, even as like the first one, right? I don't think many think like it's still a top three. Like I'm not gonna go as far to say it's number one, right? Because there are some on here that I can't argue with. But, they're like Up is like a kind of an Oscar film,
Yeah.
but animated, like if that makes sense. But Toy Story made the foundation, and it's still incredible compared to some of these films like a million years later.
Yeah.
So I think Toy Story can never be outed. Obviously we have Toy Story 4, but
We'll get to that next episode.
we get to it next week. It's fine. Don't watch it.
Okay, so how much do you want to talk about Bug's Life? Because I don't remember. I remember.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
What do you mean, Bugs? Oh my goodness, no! I can remember it like it was yesterday. I watched it so much, and also I feel like it represents me as a person, because it's like kind of like political on like the down low, and I love that. It also, however, made me afraid of grasshoppers. And then I remember being in a field and I could hear them, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, they're coming to get me. They're actually not scary, but in this film they are. And I think it's kind of a good film to watch when you're young, because I do think there's like some underlying political aspects to it that is good for when you're a kid, obviously. It's kind of like Animal Farm in that way. Like it's kind of a kid's book, but it's not. Like either you read into the politics or you don't. But I thought it was good. Do you not remember it?
The issue with A Bug's Life is that I always get it confused with DreamWorks' film Ants, which came out around the same time. I genuinely don't know if I've ever seen A Bug's Life, because I always get it confused with Ants. I've seen one of them, but I don't know which one it is that I've seen.
I've never seen Ants.
I I feel like Ants is the one I've seen, but yeah, I could not tell you a thing about A Bug's Life.
To be really honest, I think it's like really beautiful, the film. Like you can't remember it, but there was like kind of something like so scary and sinister about like how tall like all the grass is and everything, and like how kind of the world is quite scary, but he has like this community of ants.
Uh huh.
Obviously, he's like slightly different, so I feel like it's kind of like the B movie, but in ants and grasshoppers.
Hmm. Okay.
But just not as funny for other people. I loved it. I've had my brothers watch it a million times, so definitely one of my favorites. I'd still watch it now and still be interested. And
Hmm.
I think I can't say that about all these films that they would be interested in to an adult.
It's kind of
So I
stood the
kind of
test of time.
yeah, that's what I mean. So I think like if my child was like, "Oh, let's watch Bugs Life," and it was like the 10th time that week, I'd be like, "Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine, right?" But if you made me watch Monsters Inc. the 10th time, I think I'd lose it.
Okay, we'll get on to that. Okay, let's move on to Toy Story 2. One of the greatest sequels ever made. Somehow it's as good as the first one. I don't know how, but they did it. Toy Story 2 is a weird one because as a kid I really did not like this movie. I loved the first Toy Story, and Toy Story 3, but not this. But I rewatched it about 5 6 years ago, and then I realized, holy shit, this movie is amazing.
I'm about to say the opposite.
Okay,
When I was a kid, this was my favorite Toy Story.
okay.
And then I grew up and I skip it. And Toy Story 3 is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, right? When I loved it as a kid, but now I'm older, it's kind of it feels more sinister for like no reason.
I
And
get that.
I kind of hate the cowgirl now, and I hate that I hate her, right?
Hmm.
Because she used to be my favorite. But like all the new toys kind of annoy me, and I'm just like, no, get off.
Yeah.
And I just don't like it. There's just a feeling to it that it's just very different feeling. But no, I love Toy Story 2, and I'd always watch it as a kid, but I skip it now. I
I
don't
just
like it.
I just think it took what the first film did and amplified it in a way that didn't just feel like it was pointless for the sake of a sequel. It really took the characters in a new direction. It brought new life to this world.
I don't know. It doesn't feel real to me
Yeah,
compared to the other two. Like I actually felt the toys and the characters, and I don't feel that way in this film, and I don't
yeah.
know why.
So, I think this is going to be our first of few disagreements here. Oh wait, no, actually, we just disagreed on Toy Story 2, but this is going to be a big one.
It's boring.
It's a masterpiece. Monsters Inc.
I
is one of the greatest animated movies ever made.
no,
Yes,
it's not.
it
Okay,
is.
I'm gonna be really honest, right? It's so because I have in this notes Monster University best. I have no clue how I watched Monster University because I hate Monsters Inc. Monsters University is 10 out of 10, fabulous. Rewatched it a million times. Monsters Inc. Would never watch it again. So boring. And I hate what's his name? What is it like Sally or something? Oh my goodness.
I mean, just like Toy Story, this movie just does everything right in terms of storytelling. I think it's so heartfelt, it's funny, it's creative, it's just everything a Monsters Inc. It's everything a film should be.
I hated the little girl. I hated Sally. I hated the reception. I hated everyone in this film. Like, yeah, the doors are kind of cool. That's about it. And also, if we're being comparatively in Pixar, how is this not the worst film on this list, right? Because we have
Oh,
some
there are
bangers here.
there are
We
plenty
have
of
some
worse
bangers. Like,
movies.
I'm seeing the word Wally. Banger. Monsters Inc. Pass. Literally, I'm going to be honest. If my brother went, oh, let's watch Monsters, I'd be like, no. We're watching Cars, mate.
Okay, Finding Nemo. Okay, we can agree on this.
Yes. No, my mum still talks about it. She goes, every single day for years, I watched this film.
Mm.
Every single day. And I will watch it now. And it brings joy and happiness. And I can quote it. And I could probably replay the entire film in my head right now. Beautiful. And I love the ocean as well. I love it all. I think it's beautiful.
Mhm.
I love the colors. It's also very scary and
Uh-huh.
eerie when it needs to be, like, at the very start. I cried. I cried as soon as it. I don't think I cried as a baby, but I cry now. So
Hmm. I also think, in terms of technology, this had to have been up until this point, like by far the most difficult Pixar movie to pull off because underwater shit is difficult to make look good even in live action movies. Never mind animated, and they, as you said, the color palette is so vivid, um, but you care so much about this relationship between Nemo and his dad. it the whole thing just comes together so beautifully. Yeah, it is top. The fact that this isn't even top five best Pixar in my opinion shows how good some of the Pixar movies are. Because this movie is incredible.
no, because I can just always remember the scene with like the boat, and you can just see the surface, and it's
Mm,
just so like just the way they captured light underwater in this
yeah.
film, and all the movement is beautiful. I
Uh-huh.
can't even imagine how much work that took, and it's all gorgeous. And then they managed to have, like, you could see a clear difference between ocean water and then the tank water,
Mhm.
which I think really like elevates it as well because it's
Yeah.
not like they use the same effects.
I need to rewatch Finding Nemo because I don't think I've seen it in about 9 years. I remember the last time I watched it and the first time I watched it was before Finding Dory came out. I don't think I'd seen it before that. I'm surprised it wasn't like this insane childhood film of mine, like Monsters Inc. was, and some of these upcoming films we're going to talk about. Um, but yeah, it's just a really beautiful film. I want to say it's $1 billion film, or at least it's close to being $1 billion film, and deservedly so. Yeah. Um, okay, all right. I think our biggest disagreement is about to. This is about to be our biggest disagreement.
I can't believe they went from the masterpiece that is Finding Nemo to a film about superheroes that is even worse than what DC could produce.
I think this might be the greatest animated movie of all time.
No, it's so incredibly mind-numbing, painfully boring.
What's wrong with The Incredibles? How is it boring?
Uh, I remembered, right, whenever like I'd go over to any sleepovers and they'd be like, "Oh, that's watching." I was thinking, I have to suffer. And I was like, I have to quickly make up a game that I can play instead of this watch this film because I'm not watching it. I don't know, and right, it's not like I don't like superheroes. I grew up watching Spider-Man and X-Men, and I love Fantastic Four. And this just is painful. And it's not funny. I see all the memes and everything on TikTok with all the villains and everything.
Yeah, I struggle to put into words my love for this movie. It's one of my childhood movies. I grew up watching this, and it still holds up today. It's just got such a great message about family. The just the interactions between the family. The film sets it up so well. Yeah, just everything in this movie just works. It is a masterpiece. It is probably in my top five favorite movies of all time. Yeah,
Why is it a Pixar movie? Can you please explain to me how it's a Pixar movie? Why did Pixar ever make it? It doesn't suit the entirety of Pixar. It's people with superpowers. Why
Pixar.
did Pixar make it? What, it makes no sense to me.
The one
Right?
thing
You're telling me you have talking cars and talking like underwater creatures and then these monsters, right? And then soon you're gonna have like animatronics, and you go, oh my goodness, here's a brilliant idea. Let's have people as superheroes. Excuse me? That's
Here's what Pixar is and why The Incredibles fits into it. Pixar, what they do is they make movies for everyone. They make movies for kids, they make movies for teenagers, they make movies for adults. Whether you're 4 or 94, you can enjoy a Pixar movie. And I think that's what you get out of The Incredibles.
now the next one. I think it should be no surprise. It's my favorite, and I think it
Okay.
really sets the foundation of my entire life that this is my favorite film. I think it makes a lot of sense. Billy, what's the next film?
The next film is Cars.
AKA the best Pixar film. Thank you very much, Pixar, for making this absolute beautiful film. I love Cars. I think it was the standard in my childhood. Thank you for the Ferrari mention at the very end. Luigi only spots a fly. Um, it's beautiful. I love the entire storyline that like Lightning McQueen's like this like kind of egotistical, like really
Mm,
proudful of like his abilities.
yeah.
And then I I love that scene, like the entire animation scene of when he's like we're in the big truck, right, which has the car and it just lets him go out. I think the lights are
Uh-huh.
beautiful and everything. I mean it's gorgeous. And then he's just like in this desert place and then I think it's just gorgeous and he has to humble himself and then he's meeting these people that then eventually will help him win
Uh-huh.
and then he doesn't even win, he gives it to someone else, and I
Uh-huh.
think it just shows so much growth. And I also think it's very important for children to see that because right, you could obviously be a really good runner because you're taller than other people,
Hmm.
but then you could also have runners who are just good, are really trying.
Yeah.
And I think it's sometimes about, yeah, you can have talent, but the skill and how you handle that talent, it's 10 times better because you'll be remembered for that. And I think it's good to teach children
Yeah.
that who are not just for like athletics, but also in class for mathematics and everything
Uh-huh.
to help one another. And it's like the whole team film. Um, yeah. And also, I like that the love interest is not one dimensional.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
she's not my favorite character, but I like that
She
she's
actually
there
plays
for,
a proper part in the story.
yeah, she's an actual character and
Yeah.
not just a gorgeous car.
Yeah, I like Cars. It's not a film I was huge on growing up. I may have seen it once, but rewatched it last year and I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would. As you were kind of alluded to, I really like Lightning McQueen's character arc in this movie. Kind of where he is at the beginning versus where he is at the end. I thought that was really well done. Yeah, but I will say, and I know you won't agree with this, but it is the general sense I've gotten from people is that considering this is the film that came out, the Pixar film that came out after The Incredibles, which was critically acclaimed, people loved it. Cars was seen as a bit of a letdown after that. Um, and I do think if I had seen Cars after The Incredibles, I would have felt that a bit. Um, because yeah, it's definitely not on the same quality level, but yeah, it is still good fun. I literally have a pair of Lightning McQueen Crocs. I'm looking at them. I love those. Um, yeah, it's not one of Pixar's best, but it is enjoyable. I think it gets more crap than it deserves. It is definitely
Yes.
one of the Pixar films that kind of when it came out, like kind of as I mentioned, critically, it wasn't as loved as a lot of the others, but it has grown a reputation over time. I think kind of critics and people like that kind of look at the Cars movies in general and go, they're the outliers of Pixar. But I think there are a lot of people who love Cars, and it has really grown a reputation and a fan base over the years. And especially this first, only this first film. I would class myself as part of that.
I think Cars, when I think Pixar, I think Cars straight away. I think
Okay,
of the Red Lightning McQueen, I think of
and
all.
Lightning McQueen's definitely one of their most iconic characters.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's definitely got to be the most merch I ever
Oh
see.
yeah,
Has to be Lightning
yeah.
McQueen.
Okay, so next up we have Ratatouille. Uh, I love Ratatouille. It's not one of my top five Pixar movies, but I really, really like it. It's very creative, but I think it is one of the most
Iconic.
I guess that yeah, and I guess I know it's got a talking rat in it, but it is. I think it is one of the most grounded Pixar movies. Even so, yes, the talking rat, but you do really believe in this friendship between this rat and this chef, and the film really grounds Paris as a location. It doesn't try to fantasize it at all.
I wouldn't say I'm like part of the fan base that
Uh huh.
Ratatouille has because they seem very into Ratatouille.
Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah.
I probably have only seen it 3 times, and I
Uh huh.
enjoyed it those 3 times. It's not something I'd rewatch.
Uh huh.
I think I really like the scene when it's a flashback and he's eating the ratatouille. It's a very peaceful movie
Uh
in a
huh.
different kind of way. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't feel as like overstimulated as a lot of the other films do.
Yeah.
Um, I do think it really glorifies Paris a bit too much. And I can understand why people love this film.
Mm.
I would say I like this film.
Uh huh.
I would happily watch it with my child, but I wouldn't. It's not like if I when I see it on my Disney, I don't go, oh, I need to watch it now.
Yeah.
You know, if I saw Cars, I'd be like, yeah, let's watch
Yeah.
it now. But when I watch it, I enjoy it, and
Okay.
I think it's enough. I don't think I'd watch it in the cinema.
Yeah. I mean, with Ratatouille, I know it's a weird comparison, but after Ratatouille, the next movie Brad Bird directed was Mission Impossible 4. So I like to think Tom Cruise watched this and went, this guy needs to direct a Mission Impossible movie. Have you seen Ratatouille the musical? That it was the no sorry, Ratatouille the TikTok musical.
I can quite happily say no, I have not, Billy.
I remember it was this huge thing in lockdown, like a bunch of like musical theatre creatives kind of came together and made this TikTok musical. And it was an adaptation of Ratatouille. Like, I'm pretty sure it has a whole cast album on Spotify. I could be wrong about that. I haven't watched it, but I think it's a really interesting idea. So next up, we have Wally.
Wally is just this very precious bubble of a film that should be left completely untouched. There should never be any sequels, no remakes, nothing. It should be in a vault, and we just look at it and we think, what a gorgeous cinematic film that can teach us the dangers of robotics.
Uh-huh.
And then you can put it right next to Companion.
That's that's actually interesting. I never thought of that. Yeah.
Which further teaches us
Yeah.
the dangers
Yeah.
of robotics and what humans would do.
Yeah. Also, you could kind of put in Big Hero 6 in that.
That can be underneath.
Okay.
Because, well, yeah. So we can have the kids one, the teenager, and the adult version.
Uh-huh.
This is why humans should be very careful with what they do with robotics and how they treat things.
Mm.
Because you can't treat the environment like that. You can't treat a robot like that.
Uh-huh.
And I think I really wonder how, as a generation, right, we watched Wally and we saw this complete wasteland of our
Uh-huh.
life. Yeah, it kind of looks like London, but it's the world. And we just continue with our wastefulness and we think nothing of it. And I think people definitely overlook like the haha, like look at humanity, they're so fat, and they just make like jokes about it. But like people are lazy. If you gave them an option, they would do that. Like
Uh-huh.
it's the exact same as Companion. People would do that.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
think
yeah.
you're forgetting
100%.
human greed is why we're in so many messes
Uh-huh.
in politics. And I love Wally. And I like Evie as well because like I said in Cars, she may be like slightly a love interest, but she's her own.
Yeah.
She's her own and I love her so much. And she's just like a bubble of light.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think Wally is the first movie I ever saw at the cinema. So in that regard, it is. Now, I probably ended up leaving because I think I ended up crying. But yeah, I love Wally. I think out of all the Pixar movies up until this point, I think it's the one that has the strongest vision in terms of a message and the voice of a filmmaker and what he wanted to say. Um, the whole environmental message and, as you were saying, the whole robot stuff. It really feels like Andrew Stanton had something to say and knew how to say it. And I think one of the most impressive things about Wally is how you really do feel this relationship between Wally and Evie with so few words. Like they literally say their names, is it? Like that's it, pretty much. But yeah, I feel that more than a lot of rom coms. Yeah, it's a beautifully made movie.
It makes me cry thinking about it, to be honest. And I think the director and the scriptwriter and everyone in that film made such a beautiful film that has a message that can connect with people that are very young that obviously
Mhm.
can't make so much cohesive sports right about
Yeah,
politics and everything, but they can go away with an understanding that they probably shouldn't be so wasteful with
yeah.
human life and with the environment. Okay, not on a lighter note. It's not on a lighter note at all. The next film
Uh,
is Up. Oh my god! What? No.
the greatest first 10 minutes of any movie, I would say. Like this movie has the greatest opening
Rip
part of
my
any movie
heart
ever.
into shreds. Just
It's a movie,
Pixar.
the opening is a movie in and of itself.
Like, okay, right. I remember being in a cinema, right? They just came, they put it, and they just.
Mm. Yeah.
Oh my
Here's the thing with Up though, I think, is that like the rest of the movie is great, but it can't quite live up to that. Like the movie kind of peaks a bit too early.
And I know I've just said about The Incredibles, I don't know why you'd make humans in a film, but this movie, it's so moving and so simple. And like what you said with the whole Wally and Evie thing, well, they don't really communicate much, right?
Yeah.
But you can feel the
Yeah.
love, and you can just feel the kind of loneliness that this man has
Yeah.
when his wife has passed, and this really annoying kid. That even just like the annoyance is making him have company again.
Yeah.
And I think I remember looking at my grandma, right? My granddad was still around at this time. I remember thinking like how lonely either of them would then be
Mm.
afterwards.
Yeah.
And I then think about me, like, because everyone does grow old, right? But what, this came out in like 2009, I would been
Yeah.
7. I have no idea what age feels like other than 7, which is
Yeah.
obviously my entire life. Um, and I just saw this movie and I thought, yeah, like it's lonely. Like I won't be in school anymore,
Mm.
surrounded by these people that I'm forced to be with every day.
Yeah.
Like I will just be in an empty house
Yeah.
with dreams that I couldn't accomplish because life got in the way.
Yeah.
And that's devastating.
Yeah.
Whether that's a child or it's your dream house or dream job or whatever, he didn't manage to hold on to it. And
Yeah.
that's really sad.
Yeah. I think out of all the Pixar movies, I would say that this is the one that I was kind of alluding to some of the other movies. They have something for everyone, but this really does. It has the humor for kids, but it is one of those movies that just you appreciate and you understand more as you get older, and you feel for the main character more. You understand where he's coming from.
But you are definitely right. Whenever I hear about Up, I don't hear much about the little boy
Yeah,
or anything else. I just hear the first 10 minutes.
yeah,
But that first 10 minutes is so important to the film.
uh-huh, yeah,
And it's such a lasting effect that it kind of like the way we feel about the first 10 minutes of the film
uh-huh,
and how it affects us throughout the film is the reality he faces every single day of getting up and his wife is not there.
yeah.
And that's devastating.
Okay, so I would say let's move on to a lighter note, but we're not going to. We just talking about the darker. Pixar have gone rogue.
What happened to Pixar in those years? Was it the financial crisis where
It's
they
the
all were
the
in like
midlife crisis. Every Pixar employee had a midlife crisis.
yeah, Wall Street crashed and everyone went, what are we gonna do now? We have no hopes and dreams. Look at the environment. Look what Wall Street did to the environment, and they can't even give us our 401ks. And what are we gonna do? Because our children can't afford to get all these nice toys. I
Yeah.
guess we're gonna have to give them away. Now our children are growing up, and what they're gonna go into college, but the entire like a union, the entire system is broken. That's what they're
Uh,
thinking right now. This is 2008 era. You
uh-huh.
have to remember that.
Yeah.
Toy
So
Story
Toy
3.
Story 3. This is it my favorite Toy Story movie? I think it might be. I think this might be my favorite of the three. And that is saying something. But yeah, this movie is it. It's so entertaining. It's so funny. But
The
the,
end.
the ending, yeah,
Just that moment, and I remember watching it in the cinema, and my mum was even crying, and I was seeing, and they just were holding, and I like it was sad before when they were going to the fence, and then they started holding hands,
yeah,
and I just wept, and I was thinking like I'm actually gonna watch my favorite toys
yeah,
die,
yeah.
like, and the rest of the film is like so funny right throughout it,
Mhm.
and obviously it still has. I feel like that's what I like about Pixar is it has layers to it.
Yeah,
And this film definitely does have like layers of hierarchy and everything and
yeah.
abandonment and how people grow up. And
Uh-huh.
I was obviously slightly older watching this. I would have been what, 8?
It came out in
I felt old.
2010, so
Yeah, so 8. So, but I felt older at the time,
uh,
definitely compared to watching the first one. Um, and it's just so emotional.
uh-huh.
And it was just kind of like they kind of accepted their fate and at
Yeah,
least they're going together. And I thought, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to leave my toys behind.
yeah,
And I blame Toy Story 3 for the fact that I still have every single teddy bear I've ever
uh,
owned.
yeah.
Because I can't do that to them.
Or even Lotso the teddy bear doesn't scare you from having teddy bears.
No, I misunderstood. I'm sorry, that entire like scene where like they're supposed to be the villain, right? And I'm thinking they just got abandoned, right?
I mean, for me, Toy Story 3 is the end of the Toy Story movies. Like,
Yes.
there's no other Toy Story movie after it. It ends at a trilogy. That's it. And at that, it is a perfect trilogy. It is the greatest trilogy of all time. And it is. I think this might be my second favorite Pixar movie. Yeah, I just think this whole this movie, this whole trilogy is movie magic. That I don't think there's any other way to describe it.
And it is the end of Toy Story 3. I don't know why you're saying there's another film, but
No, there isn't.
there's only 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, no, they never did
That's it.
any spin-offs. No more sequels.
No,
Just
no. No spin-offs.
nope.
Not even. What was it? Was it this?
Could you imagine if they made a Buzz Lightyear movie?
Can you even imagine if they made like a spin-off just on a fork?
Oh no, that would be
That,
that sounds stupid.
I don't think there's a fork in Toy Story 3.
One final question. If you, not saying they should, but if you could see any of these movies done in live action, which one would it be?
I have a selfish one.
Okay.
I want to see Cars. Just so that they can
Okay.
get Formula One and Formula Two drivers in.
Yeah, the main two, I think they can. I think would be plausible doing would be either Ratatouille or Up. Not saying I
Yeah.
want them to be made, but just in terms of if thinking how they translate. But I think if any of them is likely, I genuinely think it's Ratatouille.
I feel like I would hate Ratatouille. I don't think I would want to see an actual.
Hmm.
I think it would ruin it. Why would you want to see an actual
Hmm.
rat? Like it's not a cute rat, but like an actual rat.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd get actors behind that either to have a rat on their head.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. A lot of people do have reverence for that original film, so I feel like a lot of people would be up for it. Also, they CGI'd a rat.
oh, okay.
Like that's a CG rat. They're not using real rats in this.
Yeah, but I don't think you can make a rat cute unless it's animated.
It will be animated.
But it's live action.
I reckon they could pull it off. you could do The Incredibles, but I feel like that's just too obvious. Like,
That's just another Superman film.
yeah, exactly. If you make The Incredibles live action, then you are just losing the point of it. Thank you for watching this week's episode. You can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and we post highlights on TikTok. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Billy Howells.
I've been Skye Wilson.
Goodbye.